engagement there.
You're listening to Head South Radio with your host, Kat Meyer, a podcast dedicated to prioritizing pleasure and removing the stigma and shame around sex. We're here to be curious and have an open conversation about sexual health and relational wellness. This podcast is intended for educational and entertainment purposes. The information discussed is not a substitute for professional medical advice.
Hi, Kat Meyer here, and on this episode, I chat with my friend Crystal Sneden. She came to New York City to perform and study dance and just needed a job, which is how she got into lingerie. She's been working in the luxury lingerie market for 15 plus years, with a variety of roles from bra fitting, consulting, and sales to management. I would consider Crystal to be an expert when it comes to undergarments. Lingerie is a language and a form of communication. Crystal shares what she has seen in the evolution of lingerie over the course of nearly 2 decades. She also shares some of her experiences with bra fitting and the intimacy, empowerment, and vulnerability she has witnessed with her clients. As with all of our episodes, we start in a meditation, so find a comfortable seat, and I hope you enjoy. Start the morning feeling the breath within your body, getting a sense of the subtle movement of the breath within the body. So it might be feeling your belly expand with each inhale and contract with each exhale. Just noticing anywhere that might feel tight or any tension, any areas that might feel relaxed or at ease. And so without any judgment or criticism, just feeling your body. And then with that sense of connection with your own body, start to hear the sound of my voice, tuning in. And then through this conversation, setting an intention that we can share our knowledge through curiosity. So just asking questions, sharing stories so that others who are listening can experience and relate. And when you're ready, you can just blink your eyes open, taking your time.
That was lovely. Hi.
So Crystal, we've known each other for quite some time. We met through a past life in the salon and hair industry.
Yep.
And so, which feels like many lifetimes ago.
A million years. I mean, it does.
I was so happy to reconnect with you this year. I was very excited to talk to you because you have for a long time been in the lingerie industry and worked with many different humans, providing them a safe space for which they can find ways to express themselves through undergarments. And so I would love for you to just give us a little intro, and then we can start asking some questions about lingerie.
Totally. My name is Crystal. I'm originally from Texas, from San Antonio, but I've been in the lingerie business from bra fitting to manager, of different stores for the last 15 years. And I didn't think my life was going to go that way, but it was started off as a part-time job while I was dancing. That's what my training was predominantly, and that's what brought me to New York to dance in the modern and contemporary field. And I just needed a job. And, and then I just kind of fell into this loop of, silk and lace and lingerie and the connection with women. That was really what kept me going for so long. In and out of that, when we met was when I was trying to take a shift away. And, I worked at a Ion, for a little while. And then I went right back to lingerie, just had to go back to it. And then now I am still in the lingerie industry, but I am going to school at John Jay to learn more about intellectual property and contract law. So yeah, it's been awesome. But lingerie has always kind of been a consistent thread. Again, it started as a part-time job, and now it's like something I'm passionate about. It comes very natural. And now I'm going to this other stage of my life. But it'll always, pretty much all of my friends, yeah, they all either worked with me in the lingerie industry or still do. It's where I spend about 80 to 90% of my time. And now that I think about it, definitely did get me into more of that IP law, because I saw my personal history of starting businesses, but a lot of friends of mine who are women starting businesses and just having it kind of not blow up in their face, so to speak, but
Mhm.
just certain caveats that you didn't realize, you didn't know. That definitely linked with just a personal interest in it. Yeah, it has shaped a lot of it. So lingerie's had a big impact in my life.
So with that, if you could give us a little understanding of, I was trying to look up some information about lingerie, and so it's an undergarment for women. So is there an equivalent to men for lingerie? Or, like, it's not. I've never heard it referred to for men. And then if you can give us a little understanding of what it is, what is under that umbrella, because it's not loungewear, it's not.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to give us a little information about lingerie itself.
It actually, in my definition of it, it does kind of encapsulate all undergarments for all genders. And I think it had always been like that for me because in a lot of the fields that I worked with in like high luxury lingerie or stores and companies I worked with, there were men buying lingerie for themselves and they weren't just buying it for their gal or, it was always something that was in the mix. So
Mhm.
it never, the gender part never was never very clear to me as like this is for women and this is for men. And then now there's so much that's blown up with different companies. I mean, just top of mind is, Savage, but even Fleur de Mal, which is a company I work with now, and I manage the New York store. They have men's lace boxers, and that's a lingerie brand. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
So as far as the gender part, that to me is just moot, you know what I mean? It's definitely all encompassing, but it is traditionally been kinda seen as I feel like people define, like, lingerie is my special panties, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Then and then these Gap or these cotton ones, these are my underwear, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So there's definitely people use those differentiations, but I would say just for the sake of conversation, yeah, lingerie would be anything that makes you feel special in that moment, whether it be sexy or empowered or badass or whatever. Whatever makes you feel something different from when you just put something on and go work out. That is function wear, that is even like shapewear. That's something to provide a function. That
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily get to your inner functions. It's more of your outer function. I need to hold this in. I need to suck this in. I need to get this. Where lingerie is more how you feel.
Oh, I love that. That does make sense. It's not a function. It serves some function, some
Yeah,
of them, like some things, but there's more of an expression to it. There's more of an inwardness, but then an expansiveness from it. Whereas like with function wear under like just a sports bra, it doesn't have that kind of way of communicating for yourself too. I think that's what it is too. Like I love that you said like an empowering experience with it.
yeah, exactly. It's definitely that's the sort of like invisible line, at least that I have seen for me and the people I've helped, and even in my just personal life. It's the thing that makes you feel something else. And to your point, it can also provide a function. You have corsets and waspies and things that cinch you in if that's what you want, or things that push you up and out if that's what you want. You know what I mean? So it can serve a function, but predominantly you're going for that in your top drawer because you want to feel something different.
Mhm. And then with that, feeling something different, you had mentioned in a previous conversation we had had about there was like two kind of characters that kind of get built up, a Jackie and a Marilyn. In my research, I was seeing the words like soft and hard as like terminology to describe the types of lingerie. And when you looked at the soft, it looked like Betty Draper chiffon nightgown. And then
Totally.
the hard is like the leather, savage looking, even like neon colors. We've talked about the colors, the textures, the materials used, but then there's also this understanding of the kind of like angel, devil, and what was it? It was like Virgin and Madonna. Yeah, the Virgin and Madonna. Can you speak to a little bit about that? And that's what I was noticing of like a harness versus just like a pretty chiffon ruffly thing gives us a very different experience in ourselves
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
how people perceive that person.
Yeah, totally. And I think this is what makes it so interesting. I've dabbled in like design or consulting, but really predominantly my history is within the lingerie industry is within customer service and helping people come in. And so hearing the way they describe themselves or describe what they want to see on their partner is, yeah, you hear definitely, oh, I want, I'm more girly, or I'm more vintage, or oh, I like to be a little bit more like a vixen. And so you hear it so many times throughout the day as a bra fitter and as a salesperson,
Mhm.
that you start to say, oh, okay, so you want something pink and lace, or okay, you want something leather and black, framing or bondage inspired, or okay, you want the, so you start to categorize. And then the dangerous part to me is when you start to define yourself by that. You hear sometimes just, not the most pleasant sales experiences when you have people come in and say, I want something that's wife material versus I don't want to just be a girlfriend. And you're like, well, what does that mean? You know? I don't really know what you mean, but I think I know what you mean, and then that ends up, because the consumer is shopping that way, then many lingerie companies will then design and project that of like, this is, to your point of, this is the virginal, very girly, very feminine Betty Draper thing. And then, oh, but this is for the modern woman. And she's going to be, in something like leather or trendy or harsh. She doesn't take no for an answer, but it's like you can be either one. Where it really flips it up is when you get Betty Page characters where you're like, well, she was pinup, but she also was hard, or whatever those terms would be. She was also hard. She was also vixen. So then what is she? So yeah, you definitely get those categorizations. It has been exciting to see those boundaries and those lines blur a little bit more. I
Mhm.
feel like I have had the pleasure of working in a time in lingerie where it went from where I was trying to convince people, like, no, you can wear this out, you can style it, to now that's like so old hat. Like, new gen is doing that.
Mhm.
So there's been such a blur to where I think those categories don't define and dominate the industry as much, but they're still there. They're
Mhm.
always still there. But, there's more like that designer, Creepy Yeehaw, and she does like pink leather. And that's just like mind blowing to people, because she's just like, wait, she's taking these colors and these designs that would be more feminine, girly, over the top, but then she's doing it with textures that are not related to that. She's one that I think I've been following for years, but she definitely just that little twist completely throws those categories on its head. Releases women a little bit more from having to define yourself that way. And also men, like, don't look at women that way.
Mhm. The word I have here is like projection. The projection, because you had mentioned that of like a customer coming in and being like, well, I want something that's more wife material, maybe in a way evoke that. Maybe he'll marry me. This like there's some kind of psychology there. Well, what does that mean? Like why would you as the girlfriend and you as the wife be two different people wearing two different kinds of
With a lot of my predominantly male clients, but some female clients as well,
Mhm.
that come in and, there's so many great colors and hues now. It's not just your standard black, pink, and red and ivory. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's like hot pink, and then there's teal, and there's neons. And so showing them that and just seeing kind of like, okay, that's also just like a sales thing of saying, where can I gauge you? Where can I put you in terms of what to show you so you don't get too scared, you feel comfortable. So
Mhm.
I'll show them something like crazy like that. And if they're like, oh no, you're like, okay.
Yes.
But a lot of times women are much more apt to it than men. And it's just because they're just, I think they deal with it maybe a little bit more in their daily wear, depending on your lifestyle. Women are definitely more like, oh yeah, I'm into that. That's cool. That's a cool hue. I can show this here. Where men are like, oh, that's crazy. Women like this. And you're like, well, how would you know?
Women are a little bit more open to it. I also think it's interesting because we are labeling certain colors and certain textures to certain roles. You can be a new mother and wear the neon green teddy.
I mean, totally. Rihanna, again, she's just revolutionized my life all the time.
Mhm.
But, like, even just the way she has portrayed being 5 months pregnant, seeing how she's dressed herself. Now, there's some things I just can't. functionally wear. I'm like, I have to get on the bus. I can't be wearing that. But it is freeing to just see that out and being like, oh wait, I'm allowed to do that. That's cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Either maintain the way you've always expressed yourself, like you don't all of a sudden have to become this, what I'm going to say is a projection of a vision of maternal.
Exactly.
It's more of like Crystal who is pregnant.
I just have a thing going on. That's it. But I'm
Mhm.
still me.
Yeah. Or for someone who maybe has traditionally or for their life been and projected a certain way, but then allowing them the safety and the space to be like, oh, actually, deep down, I've always wanted to be
Exactly.
this way, or I no longer identify with this version of myself. So why can't I explore it in other realms, even if it's just more of like the virginal ivory, softer, someone
Totally.
who maybe has always projected hard or flashy, and maybe they want to do something that's more soft and toned down. I love that. Like, I'm sure an experience with you would be a space where that was safe to explore that.
My experience has always been, again, as predominantly a bra fitter,
Mhm.
has always been fitting. If something fits a woman or a man right, and that right means just like it's not squeezing, it's not trying to corral your body into something that it's not, they're so much more open to trying something else. And that's where I get a very frustrated sometimes just with the fashion industry as a whole, but definitely the lingerie industry is like, man, if you could just expand your sizes, like expand the bookends, expand, just make it more comfortable. And that it doesn't even have to be comfort. There are some lingerie things that the restriction is what is appealing,
Is the comfort. It's comfortable sometimes to be held in a way that feels,
Corsets, you're never, I don't care what you say, you're never gonna find a comfortable corset, but that feels kinda cool,
Mhm.
in this restraint. Or like garter belts, having that sort of knowing that you're literally like strapped into something. There's a way to find that middle ground to where it fits every body and not just the body you're advertising. And I
Mhm.
do find that when I can find that sweet spot for people, they're much more open. Then they're like, "Oh, okay, I'm allowed. I'm allowed to be in this club. I can do this. I thought only, models wore that, or I thought only very trendy fashionistas wore it, or I thought only, really effeminate men wore that," and
Mhm.
instead, it's like, "No, you can let me just help you find your size, and I swear I will open your mind."
It gives people then the permission to work from it because it feels good inside and outside. Because
Yeah.
when it doesn't fit, when it doesn't, you're like, "Ugh, there's something wrong with me."
Yeah, it gets you out of that whole fitting, and sometimes, we had discussed this before where people come in and, yeah, predominantly, I want to sell you something that you'll buy, that you'll like. But really, so much of the experience is just this one-on-one counseling. People are coming in with just a lot of baggage,
Mhm.
what's been projected to them by the lingerie industry, how lingerie made them feel previously, how someone reacted to them buying lingerie or being in it. And they're coming in and a lot of times it's charged. And sometimes they've had great experiences. No matter what, it's always charged with some emotion. And then even just what's happening in their day, especially during the holidays, people are going all over the place and maybe I was talking before, like, a lot of family, and you're just like, "Oh my gosh, now this is an extra thing I gotta do." So you're just, as a bra fitter and coming into this space, it's already very intimate and very particular. Then you have to deal with just all of these mystery doors. So much of what I do is just trying to and we're not gonna break down boundaries in that moment, but I can maybe make you feel a little bit more comfortable and introduce you to a side of my friend lingerie that isn't so shitty,
Mhm. Mhm.
So, yeah, that's a lot, and to me, I feel like the best way to get in that door and at least help is let's find your size, let's find what makes you feel comfortable, and then we can have fun, then we can be playful.
Yep. I think that's one of the things, like, it's a running theme for me this year is like setting a boundary allows for play. So once you kind of create the perimeter of like, this is where the person is, like orienting them in the space of where they're at narratively, and
Yeah.
then kind of creating that safe container. not a restrictive one, not a limiting one, but from that safe container, then you can work and expand and be playful and have fun. But I think it's the right fit. If the container is not right, it's never going to work. Yeah.
And, and I've been in companies, where sadly that just you don't have what you wanna offer. But I always try to at least offer my expertise, and then my if you don't find something here, I'm gonna help you find something, you know what I
Mhm,
mean?
mhm.
It's this person, talk to that. Did they do custom? They do this, or this is how you could tweak this. That's just my integrity and responsibility as being in that space with you.
Mhm.
I'm never gonna say, "Well, we don't have it, bye,"
Yeah, yeah,
I may say, "Okay, right now, this is not gonna be the best place for you, but let me show you where it is," and that's where I've gained a lot of friends throughout the industry because then we exchange information, then we're chatting, I'm helping them style stuff. So, yeah, I lost a sale, but, like, I gained a friend, so it's
yeah.
fine.
I love that. Yeah, and I think I love that you respect and it's obviously it comes with your experience and time of understanding and respecting people's vulnerability in that space and then supporting them through it. Like, so it's not just a commission. It's not about representing this brand. It's beyond that because it is. I mean, we can relate this to our industry that we shared, which is hair and like how people express themselves, and it's a space that is very sensitive. It comes with a lot of stories, and so the same thing can be said of lingerie and body image. And it's unfortunate sometimes that you might be in a business or working for a company that doesn't provide what
Mhm.
that customer needs. So I love the extra above and beyond of you. It's lovely and it's wonderful to hear because I think people need to hear that like you can go in like it's scary to go into that situation and you don't know like it's a stranger. You're meeting a stranger who is then seeing you in ways that are intimate that maybe only your partner sees you and maybe the lights off when your partner sees you that way like some for some people that's the extent of their exposure. I'm a big appreciator of people who provide experience and have that kind of sensitivity because we need more of that in the world. And then I just had a question of your experiences with bra fitting. What was your experience like with your first bra? Like, do you remember getting your first bra or like that puberty? Like, what was that for you?
I remember I wrote something I had a little blog for, like, a minute, and then I it was too much for me to keep up with, I was just got overwhelmed. And I talked about, like, my first exposure to lingerie and just to that whole thing was really through ballet, which is so weird, but that's what I had studied most of my life, and it was watching one of my favorite movies, The Red Shoes, and she the costumes, the stockings and the back seam and the little waspies that they would wear and just how beautiful everything looked, and it was so themed out to whatever the character was feeling, and so that to me, it was always that connection. "Oh, this is when she's feeling sad. That's why she's wearing, like, black." Or, "This is when she's feeling, happy. That's why her skirt's really flowing." Or, "This is when she's," tied it all together. So then when I came to actually have to get a bra, I wanted it to be, like, amazing. So to me, that represented going to TJ Maxx and getting a leopard Betsey Johnson bra because I was like, "Yes, that is how I feel in my body right now." I felt like I was becoming a woman and women wore leopard.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even a true fitting. There was a TJ Maxx by me, and I remember seeing one, and I was like, "I'm gonna figure that out." And so I was wearing, which so many women do, we all know this, just the wrong size bra forever
Yes.
because I just wanted, the pattern and I wanted the color. And so that was my first intro into it. And then I grew up loving No Doubt and Gwen Stefani, and she would bedazzle the straps where, "Okay, I'm gonna get a bedazzler," and would bedazzle my straps. So, I was just in no true fitting until I was maybe 20 did I actually have a true bra fitting, and then my mom was just more like, "Yeah, whatever you want," like, she was just as theatrical as me, so no one really thought of even just back in the '90s, like, going and getting a bra fitting, it was just, "This works," and the idea of me getting something cotton or plain was, like, not gonna happen. too much inundated of just these stylish divas from vintage movies and then Gwen Stefani and No Doubt. So I was much more about style over any sort of function. I was very lucky. I never had those projections put upon me. I was raised in a predominantly all-female household, except for my brother, my poor brother. Yeah, he had to deal with this. He was my older brother, but that just wasn't it was never projected to don't be a hoe or don't be this. It was more just, "Oh, that's pretty,"
Yeah.
Put that on.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
not a lot of people get that experience, especially with their first bras or, you
I
know.
also have just, like, a crazy glamour puss stylish Latina mom that was like, "Yeah, you're not gonna look like that. You're gonna what do you wanna wear?"
That's amazing. Mine was definitely a white cotton with like a little pink rosebud.
That's like, it's all the style now.
Mhm. Like a bralette, that was the thing that I had. That was my first bra. But I also think about like I didn't get a fitting until maybe 2018. A bra company, it might have been 2019 actually, but like a bra company offered the yoga studio that I taught at everyone a bra fitting. And so that was the first time I had it. I had a lovely experience. The woman was incredible.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I was wearing the absolute wrong size and wrong cut and wrong style for me. I was like, damn, I have this in like every color that this other company made. And yeah, and I got rid of all of them because I was like, it made sense. Like, this did not fit me any way, shape, or form, or even like style. So it's just like, what was I doing all this time?
That's what flips women's minds now that I'm realizing most women now know I'm in the wrong size bra.
Mhm,
They don't usually know that they need a bigger cup size, not a bigger band size.
mhm,
And then when I start talking about the style where I'm like, "Oh, breasts are shaped differently." So just like bodies, we all know how to accent hourglass or a pear or an athletic body. It's the same thing with breasts. So maybe a balconette doesn't fit you, but a plunge looks great on you, or a multi-seam or a multi-part cup, or so it's like that's now the thing that I'm talking about the most with my clients is you need to dress up your boobs, like, basically.
mhm. Yeah. What is the vision you have, and how does that?
Yeah, and then
Mhm.
then when you start talking to them of that, there's always one that's bigger than the other. There's always, like, a party boob, and the other one's more, like, quiet. You have to it just blows their mind, but, I mean, how would you know? How would you know? You need someone to show you.
Yeah, someone to tell you, and like we don't know, like because I think also it's like it worked. It wasn't like
Yeah, it worked. I got
it wasn't
accustomed.
working well.
Yeah, and it's crazy what we get accustomed to, and it's the closest thing to your body. It's like the longest relationship you have is with your bra or, your undergarments, yet we will totally compromise comfort or sensation just because, "Oh, well, it's here,"
Yeah, I bought it. It's working. It's doing something. It might not be doing.
Or, I've totally done that where I bought a La Perla bra and it was totally the wrong size, and I knew it was, but it was a sample, and I wanted it, and I still wore it because I was like, "This is La Perla." It just felt like, "No, this is my La Perla bra."
Mhm. If it wasn't the right thing. Yeah, I actually have a few pieces of lingerie that are like that. That I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't love how it feels on me, but it's the brand that I bought.
yeah,
It's the thing.
and I'm like, "What? Why am I doing that?" But, we all do
Mhm.
it.
And then I have a question because also with that fitting, I've also learned like, oh yeah, I wear a lot of, let's say, I wear a lot of cashmere sweaters or silk tops, and learning that too of like the undergarments and the style, like you were talking about the different cuts and styles, that also needs to be put into play because it's a different experience of wearing that a bra for a t-shirt, a cotton t-shirt, and wearing it with a cashmere sweater or a silk top or whatever fabric or whatever. And so what considerations do you make when you're doing that? Or like, I mean, does it always just come down to like how it fits and then
It definitely fit is always my concern. It needs to fit well, and it needs to make you feel I mean, there's like you said, there are certain garments that you wear, certain occasions that you're wearing it for. that it's not going to fit the way maybe a sports bra would. You're not going to go hiking in it, but it's doing what you need it to do. But the way I always describe it to my clients who are often like, well, I can't wear this every day is, well, you don't wear the same shoes every day with the same outfit. You changes all the time. So it's the same sort of consideration to change that you give to your footwear, give it to your lingerie. So I definitely have t-shirt bras, and I think of the material and the seam, things that are, I need to wear something or I want to wear something. For instance, it's a perfect example. When I was going to school in person in John Jay, and right now I'm doing virtual, but when I was going in person, the classroom was really cold, and you
Yeah.
don't necessarily wanna, like, nip out all the time, or if you do, you don't want, your classmates to see it. So I definitely had bras that I'm like, "Okay, this is a molded cup, it's smooth, and I'm here to learn." But then, that has never been a concern any other time because I usually would wear something unlined or lace. But, yeah, it just you have to change it based on, that I would go on a date with my husband, and I wanted to wear something that was gonna peek out a little bit and just drive him crazy through the whole dinner. And so definitely I would wear something kinda corsety and this, like, French lever's lace, peeking out of a bustier type thing. So, yeah, it changes on the occasion, it changes on the garment. There's definitely things where I want it to be about the garment or about the function of, like, I'm going into a cold room and I need to be concentrating. I'm gonna go be with my husband, and we've been together for so long, I need to make sure his imagination's going wild. So, you change it up, you know?
Mhm. You mentioned one thing, and I did too, but it's t-shirt bra. Is that a
Yeah,
bra that you wear for when you wear a t-shirt, or is it a bra that's made out of material that is the same as a t-shirt? I've always kind of
they can be the same.
okay.
And also, t-shirt bra is such an umbrella term of just, like, comfortable bra. Sometimes people say just something I can throw on the way you would a t-shirt, that's easy. And usually it's in, like, kind of a nude or tan palette of
Mhm.
whatever your complexion is, because it's again, that's along the same lines of, I don't want any distraction. I wanna wear it under something white, so I don't want it to you to see the outlining of it when I'm in the grocery store or something. Usually, if you are wearing a t-shirt bra for the function of wearing a t-shirt over it, it's usually made of some type of silkier fabric. Either it is a silk that doesn't have a lot of seams on it, again, so that you're being as discreet as possible when you're wearing something tight over it, or it's got, like, one of those, synthetic fabrics, like a microfiber.
Mhm.
But then, now they're doing Florida Mall, they have, an organic cotton t-shirt bra that you would wear. It's made the same cotton of your t-shirt, and you could wear a t-shirt over it. So, it's a big umbrella. That term, it carries a lot.
Mhm. Yeah, I was never sure. I've, like, seen it, everywhere mentioned in different capacities, like, at Target, at
Need something that I don't have to think about and that, yeah, I wanna wear a t-shirt over it. Let me go t-shirt bras. I get that all the time where people come in and say, "Where are your t-shirt bras?" And you're just like, "Okay, well, these are things that I think of what you're talking about." And then that's when you get into, okay, I actually do need to wear it under something, and I don't want any lines to show, I want it to be seamless, or I want just a comfortable bra.
yeah,
Then you can get closer to what they're really saying when they say t-shirt bra.
yeah. Got it. Thank you, because 'cause I've never
Yeah,
known, and that's what I've seen it in different formats of, like, it's more of a molded cup, like, it seems more less like a t-shirt, but it makes sense that it would be the thing that would, sit well under a t-shirt,
yeah,
but discreetly sit well, and then there's others that I've seen that are, like, just flimsy flamsy, like, I'm just wearing this bra, there's nothing over top, and I'm just, like, cooking dinner for myself kind of
exactly.
thing. Okay, cool. And then one of the stories you had shared with me that has, like, just stayed with me and was an experience you had was one of the first experiences with someone postpartum who was trying on. So I'd love for you to share that and kind of talk about it, especially as you're stepping into a journey of motherhood. And it's been a conversation that's been coming up a lot for myself with friends who have had children recently, and a lot of people on the podcast are talking about postpartum sex, both for heterosexual couples and both genders, as well as just the experience of a woman going through the trauma of childbirthing. Like it's
Yeah.
regardless of whether it is a traumatic experience or it's not, or it's like easy peasy,
Yeah.
smooth transition, there's always some form of trauma body experience. And so I would love for you to share that story that you told me about the couple that had come in. But then, like, I would love to have a conversation around body disassociation, body, experience, and like this new body that you have after
Yeah.
giving birth and what that looks like. 'Cause I'm sure you've had many clients and customers come in during that period of time, years after bearing children.
Totally. Yeah, the experience that I was talking about with you was actually I started in lingerie when I was 21, I'm 36 now, and that was one of my first experiences, because up until then, I was just kind of learning what the whole world was, and you're 21, you can, like, put anything on your body and you just feel like $1,000,000, you know what I mean? So, I hadn't really broached the emotional part of it, and my first job in lingerie was a heavy hitter, it's agent provocateur. So I learned quite a bit there, which was awesome, but it is a whole world that they create. I mean, they are considered the sexiest lingerie in the world, and it's very luxury. They put the time and attention to every garment the way someone would in couture. So I was still kind of in that very surface level of like, "Oh, this is just pretty. This is so pretty," and then I got this couple come in and it totally flipped me around in a good way. It was a couple who she just had a child and she wasn't, not just, I mean, like within like 6 months, so it's pretty recent. What you could tell by the dynamic when they were walking around that she was, intrigued by everything, but not necessarily as enthusiastic as her husband, and her husband was being very supportive. And so he was kind of encouraging her like, "Oh, that would look great on you, and this would look great." She had this gorgeous red hair, very, like, Nicole Kidman style red, and you're just like, "Oh," he was like, "This color would look great." So kind of trying to get her into that. And so she went into the fitting room semi-reluctantly, and I helped out, and when she was inside there and I was, she looked incredible to me and everything, she just broke down and started crying, and he could kind of hear what was going on, and she just opened up in this incredible way of just, "I don't feel like myself anymore. I'm trying to do this for him, but I wanted to, but I don't know." And then he kind of, I excused myself to go get her a tissue, and I think I got her champagne. I was like, "Do you want champagne?" But, like, we just let's, I don't know, I'm 21, so I was definitely having fun with champagne. I remember him coming in and making her feel a lot better, but, like, kinda soothing her and letting her know, like, "I just want you to see who you are, not just who you were, you're still this person." And it just completely blew my mind. First of all, their dynamic was incredible, but it was also just this tender moment that I was getting a glimpse into, and it had all happened because in the fitting room of a lingerie store that I thought was just supposed to be fun and cute and pretty, and I just realized all of these layers of emotions that were attached to it, of her trying to find her way back to who she believed she was, the parts of herself that she believed she was that she liked, and him trying to show her that that's never left. And they were doing that through, a corset fitting.
Mhm.
And so it totally changed my perspective of what my role was in that moment, and also just the impact of what lingerie could do, and how a couple can find this, yeah, this tender moment in that. And that has always stayed with me. Then I have several other stories of women coming in just on their own and talking to me about how just the physical shape of their breast have changed from breastfeeding, C-section scars, or not losing the weight that they had initially gained, and feeling, self-conscious about that. And some women feeling the opposite, feeling like, "I always wanted to have this extra bit, and now here it is, and I'm gonna show it off, and this is, my scar and this, I don't care. I'm a mother, I'm a warrior. So it's like you see this range, but the common thread is there is this disassociation from your body, whether positive or negative, that I am now this.
Mhm.
And, personally, even just going through this pregnancy, I'm at 5 months, I definitely have felt those my body is not mine right now. Like it is and it isn't. I have to be more cognizant of my roommate.
Mhm.
And it also changes the way I see lingerie. I've totally sized out of a lot of the lingerie that I have. I'm having to wear things that I wouldn't normally wear that are truly for function. And it does make you feel different. It's making me feel not as close to just the frivolity that I used to have when it came to lingerie, when it came to dressing, even in the morning, when it comes to just, relating to my husband. So much of my body is changing to where it's like, "Oh, this I don't feel like being touched, the way I did before." And then sometimes I absolutely need to be close and tender, and so it's like these crazy pendulum swings where I felt like before, again, there was a frivolity to it. It's definitely a journey of having to, because I know, I'm aware of this movie as it's happening, of bringing myself back to that center and reminding myself, no, I am still the person that I've always been. We were talking about just even maternity wear and how Rihanna's just totally changed the game again,
Mhm.
reminding myself to like harness that inner Rihanna, or actually Beyonce is my queen. So it's also
Yeah.
just harnessing, whatever tool I need to remind myself that's not gone away. It's maybe dimmed a little bit, but it's not gone. And having that support from I have these awesome badass lingeristas around me that shake me out of it when I feel like I am not the person I was. Instead, they remind me that I am still the same. My body is doing incredible things right now, and it's just a different phase.
Mhm.
But you are still able to express yourself through what I've always loved just as much as I did before. And in that moment, that couple really set the tone for the rest of my career.
It goes way deeper than the surface level of pretty lace and pink, and when you told me that story, I could see how it absolutely influenced your career and influenced your relationships too, like, seeing that type of dynamic of support
Yeah.
and vulnerability, and I think it's so beautiful to experience that and see that and then take that with you,
Yeah.
and I think it's also important to share that type of story for people who are going through this now or embarking on it like yourself and your husband, parenthood, and not losing your sense of sexuality, because I think people resign to it. We take such pride in the roles that we play. Like, I am the girlfriend, I am the boyfriend now, I am the parent, I am the mother, father, whatever it is that people identify as sometimes can override all the other aspects of ourselves, and we resign or let those things go. And there are ways that you can commit to still being the version of yourself that feels good. So it's not necessarily like when you said it was dimming, it's like it's not dimming, you're enhancing other parts of you.
Exactly.
New,
Yeah.
new terrain or new experiences that are now providing extra layers of yourself, like these new roles, these new physical experiences within your body are just enhancing your humanness, and that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it then takes away from the other parts of the pie. Like, the pie is still whole. It's just
Yeah.
adding more icing and you know what I mean? Like, more things to it.
Exactly. And the having, like you had said, even just the intimacy and that support with your partner, we've grown so much more, I think, in this time of pregnancy than ever before. I'm very lucky that I have an incredibly supportive husband. I met him when I actually got into lingerie when I was 21. So he's been with me ride or die this whole experience. So he definitely has been there to support me and to say like, yeah, this is different, but it's something different. It's not gone. Let's figure something else out. Let's explore this area. So it's very cool. I'm in a very good position.
The only parts of yourself that you lose are the ones you choose. Like if this is no longer serving me, then it's your choice. But if you
Yeah.
feel like you've lost pieces of yourself, it's either because you've allowed it. That's what happens. And you
Yeah.
can choose not to allow that to happen. You don't have to lose some parts of yourself that feel vibrant or feel the most expressive of yourself while taking on other roles and other duties and other experiences in your life. I think people should, I myself not going through motherhood, remind myself of that as well, of just like, as I'm aging and growing and starting new relationships, ending relationships, there's always this thing of like, you don't have to lose yourself because you choose that, and you can lose parts of yourself that no longer serve you, and it's okay.
Yeah. That's a good reminder. I like that.
And so then just to wrap up, one last little wild card question.
Yeah.
Did you have a Disney crush?
Oh, yes.
Who was your Disney crush?
Eric.
Prince
Ariel
Eric.
is him. Yeah. He had the dog,
Yeah.
which was like, oh, that's cute. That's grounding. And then he was like the rebel, and he had the hair. And then I loved Ariel. That's my girl. That's my princess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then he was just like into weird girls, and I felt weird. So
Yeah. No,
I like this mermaid. Like, who does that?
1000% agree. It's Prince Eric. So, Crystal, thank you so much for joining us on Head South Radio and being a guest on the podcast. I'm so excited for you and your life and all the new things that are happening. I will definitely, be checking back in personally and seeing where things are going for you and John. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk soon.
All right, girl.
Bye.
Bye.
Special thanks to all of our guests. Head South is hosted by Kat Meyer, produced by Isis Barlow, edited by Megan Hook, with music by Lily Rezi Rothman, graphics by Ella Chodos Irvine, cover art by Gina Ship Casey, and intro by Murph Meyer.
If you're looking for me, I'm headed